Good afternoon on what is a mild, bright but cloudy day. It is Wednesday, the 12th of June, and I'm in the reading with a nice cup of tea and a box to continue boxing. And what I've got in here is this Numenera Discovery. So, they say there have been 8 worlds before ours. 8 times the people of Earth over vast millennia built their civilizations. They reached heights we cannot even imagine now. They spoke to the stars, reshaped the creatures of the world, and mastered form and essence. They built cities and machines that have since fallen to ruin, leaving only vast outlines and barest remnants. This is the 9th world. The people of the prior worlds are gone, scattered, disappeared, or transcended, but the works remain in the places and devices that still contain a spark of their former function. The uninformed call these magic, but the wise know they are our legacy. They are our future. They are the Numenera. Numenera Discovery includes everything you need to create characters and venture into the 9th world. Complete streamlined rules for fast-paced, story-based tabletop role-playing game experience, an intuitive concept-driven character generation system with scores of options for building just the character you imagine. Detailed information on a vast swathe of the 9th world, including a giant poster map. A bestiary of more than 50 creatures and characters. Bestiary, I think, was supposed to be sort of like things you might find at a bistro. Hundreds of unique Numenera items, 3 complete adventures to launch any campaign. Numenera Discovery is one of 2 core books. Numenera Destiny expands the game with a new character and campaign building materials that lets you use the remnants of the past to build a future of your choosing. So, this is an award-winning role-playing game. This is the 2nd edition. Now, it came out in 2013, and so 10 years ago or so. Let's not forget just how big of a hit this was. Numenera was a really big hit for Monte Cook Games, put its name, which already was on the map, but it really elevated him, Monte Cook as designer, to something more, because it did something interesting with role-playing in a couple of ways. First off, introduced the concept of, to the mainstream at least, of player-facing rolling. So, in the game, the player characters, the players, will roll to attack. But if they're attacked, the game master never rolls the dice. Instead, the game master, the players roll to avoid damage, to avoid a trap, and so on. They roll to avoid being affected by what's going on in the game mechanically. Then, it took the idea essentially of exploring a world, going into dungeons and that sort of thing, and transplanted that into a world that was not post-apocalyptic, but post-age, different ages, as I say, the 9th world, where the dungeons were technological in nature rather than influenced heavily by medieval castles and Tolkien. So, here we've got essentially a map of the area where Numenera is played out. This looks very familiar to the original edition, which I've got a copy of upstairs, and still really like. It's a setting I do like, and it's a game I like playing. And the mechanics from this would go on to power and numerous other Cypher role-playing games. Cypher is the game engine, the game system, most notably, and recently, Old Gods of Appalachia. So, frontispiece before we leap into credits and contents pages. This is quite a thick tome, billion years in the making. We've got the basic background to the Numenera, the far future, Yamba Monolith, some colour fiction, and then we get into getting started, how to get started as both game master and player. And first we talk about, welcome to the 9th world. Here it is, what it is, essentially what it's like in playable terms. And one of the aspects of the game is the Numenera, which are the artifacts left behind from the previous ages. They come in different types. So you've got artifacts, ciphers, and oddities. So artifacts are large devices that typically can be used more than once to produce the same effect. You know, it might well be a belt that it creates a shield of invisible force, or a flying skiff that carries people from cargo from one place to another. Ciphers are minor devices which can be depleted. Oddities are essentially are strange functions that are just curious. And when you play the game, you keep hold of artifacts in general, but you can only carry a limited number of Numenera, certainly of ciphers, and ciphers are like one-shots. They can be, you know, concoctions or devices and so on. And interestingly, we've got looking at the Ninth World from the 21st century. So that's a nice piece of perspective there. You know, look, what's this world like from where we are now? And then we get into how to play Numenera, how to run the game. And the other great thing about the game, playing it, one of the rules I really like are intrusions. Now, intrusions work essentially are traps or attacks or environmental effects, where the game master will literally hold up a couple of cards, with each one worth a single experience point, and say to a player, "Do you accept this intrusion, this effect upon you?" If the player says no, nothing happens, and they don't get, and the player and his character doesn't get the experience points. But if he does accept it, he accepts the consequences, role plays it through, but is awarded one of the points of experience points cards. The other, that player gives to another player who is involved or deserves, you know, he thinks deserves. It's a really nice interactive experience point mechanic. Anyway, so you've got the guide on how to play the game, roll the dice. You use a 20-sided die. You are aiming to roll high. Once you understand how it plays, it's really simple. It takes a little bit of adjusting to, if I recall, but it's not really that difficult. So then we get into characters, and you play a character. You've really got 3 stats: might, speed, and intellect. Edge essentially measures how many points. It basically gives you essentially reduces the number of points you're spending to undertake actions from your pools, and so on. So just going through those, explaining how they work, and then we have character type, descriptor, type, and so on. So you have a descriptor, type, and focus, and essentially what that means, each character can state the following: I am, fill in an adjective here, fill in noun followed by a verb. So, you know, I am a glaive, you know, I am a strong glaive who hits things hard, that sort of thing. So you've got the different character types: glaive are your warriors, and then you've got different abilities and so on, and tiers that will gain you greater advantages as you gain experiences, gain experience points. Nano is sort of like falling more into your magic users, your wizards, that sort of thing. And then you've got your Jack, which sort of mixes sort of elements of the two. And each character also has a connection to another character. You've got a table for that as well. And then you've got, say, character descriptors. So you've got charming and clever, intelligent, graceful. You can pick any one of these, and that provides things like bonuses to your skills, or basically to your attributes, and then you get skills and additional equipment and so on. And then we have focus. You know, basically, you know, where's a halo of fire? Controls beasts. Exists partially out of phase. So you can have a lot of these different ones. Howls at the moon, hunts, lives in the wilderness, so on. Works the back alleys, and then, you know, one of my favourites is talks to machines, which is a great thing to have, because you're essentially for a lot of the time you are exploring the machinery of the past in this setting. So that's your characters. You know, so they're really nicely, simply described, and you feel competent. You're not wholly competent, but you're not incompetent. You do feel capable. So you've got a list of equipment. List of weapons, and it's important to note that weapons do a set amount of damage. You're not rolling dice for damage. So light weapons do like 2 points of damage, medium weapons do 4 points, heavy weapons do 6. And then brings the rules to the game. So yeah, that would almost be familiar. So on, it's handling combat as well. So on. And then we actually have, you know, basic things, you know, like, you know, rules there for GM intrusion, discovering new things, GM awards and so on, and then spending experience points. I'm basically just going to look for something. Does it give that? Because I know there's something different about the setting. Excuse me a moment. Anyway, so then we move on to the setting as well. I know there's also something else where there's, I think, had a quick look, that player intrusion, so players can bring in elements and act in heroic fashion as well. So here we've got this setting, living in the ninth world, this expanding upon that map, describing it in more detail. And we've got a gazetteer of the ninth world, certainly of that region. And the steadfast is one half of it, or part of it, and that's described in ever more detail. City of bridges, and key. All these really nicely done maps, nice description, just, you know, basically stuff that you can throw into play. So you've got hearsay, so you've got rumours there, the game master can take and expand. And encounters like such as Awesome's Travelling Menagerie and Soaring Circus. So quite a lengthy description of the Steadfast. So I'm just going to flip forward a bit. And then we get into the Black Riage, which is the mountains that divide the area. Which, Sicilian jungle, weirdly star-shaped. The plains of Catharu. And we're out onto the Greats. There's just basically there's a location there. It's just the Great Slab, just the Great Block. You know, basically the Great Slab is a huge construct that rises from the blue-green earth in a hulking block of synth metal and organics. It lies at the southernmost edge of the fifth stretch of the Wandering Walk, rising more than 3,000 feet into the air, straight up on all sides, covering more than 9 square miles. So there's an immense sense of scale to this world. You know, it's been re-engineered. And then we're out into the beyond. Including basically Gurren, the city of the missing, gets its own section. And we've got Nihilish, another location. And then beyond the beyond, what lies beyond that wall? Including details of the University of Doors, keystone to a new life, step through any door. List of other settlements, villages, and so on. Organisations get involved in, Order of Truth, and the Angulan Knights. So you can bring in factions. You all want different things, have different views on what the ninth world is like. And then we move on to creatures and characters. So this is your bestiary, describing numerous different creatures. All basically given about a page each. Glorious colour illustration as well. So that's really, really nice. And the other thing about this is like a science fiction stroke science fantasy setting. It's unlike anything else. The monsters are unlike anything else. All very, very different. Then we move on to non-player characters. Such an Aeon Priest, Explorer, Nano, Bandit. There aren't very many of these in comparison, but that's enough. Got a list of possible friends and foes. And then we're on to the Numenera, the devices. So this is talking about the technology of the ninth world, which is really building very much upon what came before. So we start off with the ciphers. We've got a big list of those. There's dangers of using them. We've got a big list of those. For example, a blinking nodule. For the next 20 hours, basically crystal nodule affixed to your armour. For the next 20 hours, each time, but not more than once per round, the wearer of the armour the nodule is attached to is struck hard enough to inflict damage. They teleport to immediate distance in a random direction, not up or down. Since the wearer is prepared for the effect and the foe is not, the wearer's defences are eased for one round after the teleport. So that's basically, essentially, yeah, that's interesting. So you've got a selection of just different ciphers. Then we move on to artifacts, which are more powerful because they have a more consistent effect. It's basically they don't run out as such. So things like bounding boots. Boots negate gravity enough to make jumping and running easier, or essentially automated cook. Small metal and synth cube that has metallic arms and tools. This automaton prepares food on command. It must be given raw materials, but with those it can prepare a hot, nutritious meal. And there's a chance of it depleting. By depleting, it means basically it runs out, stops working. And that's typically in that example, because it's a minor item, it's a 1 in 100 chance. But say battle armor, essentially, or battle suit, you know, it might be that the gem can rule the armor as sustained enough damage that the atmospheres and environment protection cease, and the might enhancements no longer function, but the suit still functions as armor. So somewhat run out, some don't. And then we've got oddities and discoveries. These are minor gewgaws and knickknacks. And then we've got right into section for the game master, running the game. So how to use the rules, setting difficulty ratings, you know, how to handle impossible difficulties, being consistent, solid advice, and then we're talking about GM intrusion, how that works. I mentioned that earlier. And then essentially guide here to player awarded experience points, using GM intrusion as a narrative tool, using it as a resolution mechanic. So good advice on using that. And then so here we discuss that player intrusions, where you know the players want to be, you know, more heroic, do something exciting. So we've got just general good advice throughout this section, dealing with player character abilities, how to handle ciphers and artifacts in play, skills and abilities, NPC game stats, and so on. Like really full, you know, detailed GM advice here. And then we've got character customization options, so different ideas to throw into the game, throw into the mix. And then we're here building a story, you know, what to do in the first few sessions, teaching the rules, running Numenera combats. Numenera is about discovery, but can you have discovery through combat, you know, basically. And then how to craft a story, handling pacing, so on. How to describe what is a weird world, sometimes the details, so that preparing for the game session, you know, this is packed with advice, probably more so than a lot of other role-playing games. Now we get down into dealing with things like mature themes, designing encounters. It's all being addressed, and you are getting your money's worth with this game, including complex encounters and how to resolve them, how to balance them. And here we've actually got an example of play, surprisingly come late in the book. That would be my one complaint, I think. You know, could have been further up front, but essentially this is, you know, I mean, as ever, you know, I like a good example of play because it shows you how the game is meant to be played rather than the rest of the book telling you. So that runs to several pages, and then we've still got more advice and things like, you know, how to realise that in the ninth world, bring it to life. You know, different ways to use it. You know, basically describe, don't define. Work with things like, you know, a quasi-medieval fantasy setting. So basically, it can be changed a bit around. So it can be a post-apocalyptic setting, can be a weird horror setting, and so on. But essentially, one of the elements it does have sufficiently advanced technology that it kind of looks like magic. So you are dealing with different types of technology there. Genetic, energy manipulation, nanotechnology, and more, even up to stellar technology. Got some scenario ideas, and so on. Perhaps a location there to detail different scenario ideas, and then we get into the adventures. Got an overview, of all three. First one, Taker of Sorrow. So we've got synopsis, timeline, setting everything up. Your plot point flowchart. So different encounters and so on, and then we're on to the next one, Vault of Reflections, background, synopsis, everything, location, which the player character is going to be exploring, some of the things they're going to be encountering, and then Legacy is the third one. And so you've got breakdown like that, just a general overview. So that's quite a short one, but anyway. So then we've got back matter. It's the final section. This is so we have the appendices. So we've got species options. You know, if you want to play non-human characters, including mutants, we've got a table there of beneficial mutants and harmful mutations. And then we've got bibliography and resources for the game. Backers. Character creation walkthrough. Glossary, very handy. Nicely done, put it at the back so you can easily find it. And then a Talk Like a Night Worlder, sampling of commonly used words and phrases. It's a nice addition. That's the character sheet. Cleaned up a bit from the early edition, which everyone really didn't like. And that's the back. And then we've got the index. And then we have the poster map as well, which basically gives you that in poster form. So that is Numenera Discovery, published by Monte Cook Games. I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game or role-playing game, in this case the Numenera role-playing game, which I will unbox and then chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.